Right, so the good news regarding the iPad 10 keeps on coming because we have a new source basically corroborating that yes, we're going to see some major upgrades, so let's delve into it. So this source is not so credible, so do take this with a grain of salt, but they believe the iPad 10 is going to be a larger version of the iPad mini, so that means the new design, 5G support, but also interestingly the same performance, and so that could mean the A15 chip. Now that does go against reports regarding this getting the A14 chip, and ultimately I think that sounds too good to be true because Apple always makes sure the base iPad gets an older iPhone chip, and with the base 14s reusing the A15 chip, I doubt that Apple wants the base iPads to match the performance of those iPhones. And yes, if you take a look at the budget iPads past, you can see there's some years where we don't get a chip refresh, and there's other years where Apple gives us a slight boost. For example, with the iPad 9, they went from the A12 chip to the A13, so of course, going from the A13 to the A14 makes more sense than going from the A13 to the A15. Now yes, I know that one could argue this could be because of the chip shortage, since Apple's gonna have a large surplus of these A15 chips they're using with the 14 series, and the 13 series they might keep in the lineup. However, they're also going to keep around the iPhone 12 series, and so I don't think there's going to be massive constraints with the A14 chip. So yeah, personally, I very much doubt this is going to be identical to the iPad mini specs. Yes, the design is going to be similar, but I do think it's going to have worse display and chip. And yeah, this source does still believe there's going to be a 10.5-inch display on this, and so the bezels on this are going to be a lot thicker than the other iPads. However, even with the thicker bezels, this is still going to be a major upgrade over the current design, and I'm looking forward to this. Anyways, let's delve into your thoughts regarding this budget iPad refresh. So Visceral says, so basically an iPad Air 4 with a smaller screen. And yeah, that is basically what this is. It's going to have the A14 chip, 4GB of RAM, the new design, etc. But there should be some downgrades. For example, the cameras should be worse, and also the display is not going to be exactly identical to the Air. For example, I don't see Apple giving it P3 color support, and also the anti-reflective coating on top. But yes, for the most part, Apple is recycling iPad Air 4 components for this base iPad. So Athafan says, picture this, the iPad SE, and then Midnight Blue says, or the iPad X. And I guess they could call this the iPad X or 10 to celebrate 10 years of the iPad. Well, I kind of doubt that because we have already hit 10 years of the iPad back in 2020, but also this is the budget iPad. Apple does not care a lot about this. I doubt this will get a fancy name. And also regarding the SE name, I guess I could see that happening, but either way, I think Apple's going to stick to the simple iPad name for the time being, since it makes it clear to consumers that this is the iPad for most consumers. So Tommy Han says maybe they could reuse the iPad Air 3 design with slight modifications like you said, home button retained, but with USB-C cord charging and a flatter squared off chassis for the Apple Pencil 2. Now this, I delved into in a previous video, and basically I think iPadOS is clearly moving towards gestures being the main way to interact with this device, and so I do think the home button is going to be finally dead. Also, I'm sure that Apple wants to put the least effort possible into this base iPad refresh, and so simply making the bezels thick on this and keeping the uniform bezels is a lot easier than, of course, incorporating the forehead and chin into this flat chassis with the home button. And yeah, Apple in the past has easily given us thicker bezels for the low-end / mid-range products, for example the iPhone XR and the iPad Air, so I do think this base iPad's gonna follow suit. So Seitu says, seems like this is a rip-off. To me, the Air is a budget iPad. This iPad is below the budget rating. Now this I disagree with. The base iPad is the best deal in the lineup, since do remember that Apple's rarely given us actual pro features with iPadOS that justify getting the higher end models, and so for those who do the basics on the iPads, the iPadOS does pretty well in the first place. The base iPad makes a ton of sense. And even if these rumors are true, this is going to be a tremendous deal, because if you don't care about Stage Manager, which by the way does not look that great in the first place, this base iPad does 90% of the things the iPad Pro does at a much lower price. And so yeah, I do think this is a terrific deal, and so yeah, this definitely is not a ripoff. So Phases World says, a 10.7-inch screen makes more sense for a complete redesign, since in the past, Apple has gone from 9.7 inches to 10.2 inches, and so now they'd be going from 10.2 inches all the way to 10.7 inches. And to be honest, I don't think Apple has a rule like that. They can increase the size of the display to whatever they want. I guess 10.5 inches might be the way to go, because they want to make it apparent this is the budget iPad, and so the bezels being extra thick compared to the higher end models would certainly do that. So Thomas says, Apple should wait one more year till they give this massive refresh, purely because they do hope by next year the M series iPads do get more Pro features to differentiate it from this base iPad. And yes, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the case, because I believe I delved into this in a previous video, but this base iPad refresh could cannibalize the iPad Air in the lineup, since Stage Manager and also external display supports are really the only Pro features those higher end iPads have, and not everyone cares about that. So yeah, this massive base iPad refresh could cannibalize some models. And so if Pro apps is in the works, or if the iPad Air is getting mini LED relatively soon, then yes, I could see Apple waiting for those updates before we get this base iPad refresh. So Anapam says, what about the headphone jack? And unfortunately, if we do see a new design, I think the jack is dead. In fact, every iPhone and iPad Apple sells, apart from the budget iPads, does not have a headphone jack. And so yeah, I do think the budget iPad is going to remove it. And to be honest, I could care less about this. I use AirPods, many use AirPods, and so I don't think many are gonna miss the headphone jack on this iPad. Anyways, that's about it guys, but tell me your thoughts in the comments. Anyways, thank you for watching guys, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. Check out the video above on details regarding the Apple VR headset, and on that note, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya peeps.